Welcome back to my channel. I say it all the time, but if you are not on this part, go back to the part that you guys are actually on, or start at part 1 so that you don't miss out on a lot of the book. We're finally getting to some very, very interesting parts, and we don't want you to skip ahead of all of the build up to it, to where we are now. So if you have not gotten this far, please go back. Alright, let's do a quick review of what we read yesterday. Okay, so those chapters were crazy, right? Like, she first had some new customers, which were surprising. One of them, Jeffrey, was not someone who had left her a note or came up asking for a book. Amy Ann actually had a recommendation of a book for him to read, maybe something that could help him get through all of these different emotions and feelings that he's having right now about his grandma dying and him being so angry. So that was pretty crazy. And then Trey came up and asked her for a book, and at first Amy Ann was like kind of going back and forth in her mind if she should let him read the books or not, but then she decided to let him read one because that's how the whole campaign and all of BBLL had started, was that they all have their right and to read whatever they want. So she decided to let him have one, which was a Captain Underpants book. And then the next chapter that we read was crazy. So it was called My Biggest Mistake. It starts off by saying, I knew I was in trouble from the moment I set foot in the building Monday morning. I want you to think about that. This is like a very detailed, very like relevant, I feel like, to a lot of people. Like, I feel that way sometimes, like, not that I'm in trouble, but I just have this feeling of like something bad's gonna happen or something like that. I know that whenever I was when I was younger and in elementary school and in 5th grade, anytime that I would do something bad, which is more often than I'd like, but anytime that I would do something bad, I just had this feeling that I was going to get caught, and then, you know, you'd walk into the living room or whatever the next day and be like, well, they know, like, I'm in trouble. So she just had this feeling as soon as she got into school, which was crazy because Principal Banana was standing at her locker waiting to take the books out, and it was just the craziest thing. So, like, we kind of all had this feeling like something bad was going to happen, but we didn't know what, or we didn't know how it was going to happen. So it ended with loaning that book to Trey had been the biggest mistake of my life. So she is already placing blame on how her banned books like locker library was caught or was found out. It also said, like, as she was walking towards the principal's office, Trey and his mother were standing there. So, like, that can't be a coincidence, right? Like, maybe Trey standing there because he always seems to be right behind her, near her whenever she's doing something with the BBLL. Maybe Trey being there is not a coincidence, but his mom? Like, why would his mom be there? I don't know, like, I can't think of another reason unless if she was just, like, going to ban more books from the library. But it kind of just seems like it was Trey and his mom. So we're going to read it a little bit more today. And go over what happens in the principal's office and just what happens after that. So stay tuned. Busted. My parents were called in. Mom had to get pulled out of a meeting. Dad still had on his work overalls, and his hands were covered in red brick dust. At first they thought I was hurt, or that someone had done something awful to me. They never guessed I was the one who had gotten into trouble. I was Amy Ann Ollinger. I was the girl who always did what her parents and teachers told her to. I was the girl who never complained, never spoke up, never said what she was really thinking. Principal Banana showed them the books, told my parents what I'd been doing. My parents looked at me like they'd never seen me before. Some of these are Shelburne Elementary Library books. Principal Banana said. She had them separated out in a stack on her desk, next to the grinning banana and sunglasses. They were all the books we'd taken from Mrs. Jones' office, minus the ones that were checked out. Did Mrs. Jones give you these books? No, I said. I didn't want Mrs. Jones to get into trouble over this. Just the thought of that made me even sicker than I was over getting caught. Are you saying you stole school property then? Principal Banana said. I didn't say anything. Amy Ann, this is no time to protect anybody, Mom said. Mrs. Jones is an adult. She's responsible for her own actions. She didn't know, I said. We took those books from the library. It's not stealing if you borrow a library book. That's what they're for. Who is we? Mrs. Banana said. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I hadn't meant to say that. Nobody. I did it all by myself, I said. Principal Banana frowned. You're not going to tell me who else was in on this with you. I hesitated, then shook my head and looked at the floor. Amy Ann, Mom said. I didn't care how much more trouble I was going to get into. I wasn't going to drag Rebecca and Danny down with me. We'll find out, Principal Banana said. We'll be able to get back all the books she's loaned out to other students, too. We have a list of all the students who checked out books from her little illegal library. She lifted a stack of index cards. My date due cards. I closed my eyes, and the tears came again. I should have listened to Rebecca. Never leave a paper trail. I'm going to have to write a letter home to the parents of each and every one of these children, Amy Ann, explaining how an inappropriate and potentially harmful book came into their possession at my school. Principal Banana said, there may even be lawsuits. You've hurt a lot of other people with this little stunt. Principal Banana waited for me to say something, in my defense, but I was done speaking up, for good. As this is Amy Ann's first major offense, she won't be expelled, Principal Banana said. But for theft of school property and for willfully defying the Wake County School Board, Amy Ann is suspended for 3 days. Right and wrong. I couldn't very well stay with my dad at a construction site, so I spent the day in my mom's office. I did the homework Mr. Vaughn had sent me home with, then hid in the corner reading Indian Captive, which I checked out from the real school library. When I finished it, I just read it again. Like Mary Jemison, I swore I would never bear my pain quietly and without complaint. If I had been quiet before, I was going to be silent from now on. Speaking up just got you into trouble. Mom didn't have much to say to me all day anyway. I could tell she was still thinking about what to say and how to punish me, because getting suspended from school wasn't going to be enough. Parents can't ever let the bad stuff that happens when you make a mistake be all there is to it. They always have to add on some punishment of their own, too, to remind you that they're in charge. That afternoon, I went to my room without being told to, and crawled under the blankets on my bed. Normally, Alexis would have been using my bed for a ballet bar, but today she kept away. She snuck in once to get her tutu, then slipped out again without saying a word. That was fine with me. I tried reading Indian Captive again, but I couldn't focus on it. All I could think about was all the kids who had borrowed books from me. They were all going to get letters sent home from school, and a lot of them were going to get in trouble, and it was my fault. Everybody who'd started to like me was going to hate me now. Dad brought me my dinner on a tray, and told me I was to come and see him and Mom both in the kitchen when I was done. No matter how slowly I ate, I knew I couldn't put it off forever. Halfway through, I couldn't eat anymore anyway. It was time to face my parents. Dad was doing the dishes when I came in. I sat at the table and he called Mom in and dried his hands. The air felt heavier in the kitchen, like someone had just died. Angelina appeared in the doorway. Is Amy Ann in trouble? She asked. Yes, genius, I thought, but I didn't say it. I was done talking. Go back to the living room, Mom said. Alexis, come get your sister and keep her in the living room, please. There were to be no witnesses to my execution. When Alexis and Angelina were gone, Mom and Dad shared another one of those looks. This one I could read. I said, we better get this over with. I started to suck on my braids, but I knew that would just make Mom more frustrated, so I fought the temptation. Amy Ann, we don't know where to begin, Dad said. We're just so shocked that you would do this. It's so unlike you. I didn't say anything. We're very disappointed, Mom said. We expect better out of you. We expect you to set an example for your sisters. I didn't think I had any more tears left in me, but I started crying again. On the other hand, Dad said, we're proud of you for taking a stand. Mom and Dad shared another of those looks between them. Frankly, we were getting worried that you never stand up for yourself, never speak up. I hiccuped to sob. What good does it do to speak up when no one listens to what I'm saying? I thought, but I didn't say it. Keeping all that inside isn't healthy, Mom said, and we agree. There are times you have to stand up for what you want. Or what's right, Dad said. We don't necessarily agree with Principal Banana and the school board on this book banning business. I sniffed and rubbed my nose with my hand. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was I not going to get more punishment? But there's a right way and a wrong way to voice your objections, Mom said. And this banned book library in your locker was the wrong way. Right. So I was getting more punishment after all. You broke the rules, kiddo, Dad said. Right or wrong, the school board made a decision that those books weren't appropriate for elementary school students, and you have to respect that decision, Mom said. You can't just decide what an adult tells you is wrong and do whatever you want. But what if the adult was wrong? Mom and Dad just said they didn't agree with the school board, and what if the adults didn't play by their own rules? What was a kid supposed to do then? Just give up and do whatever they said? I wanted to argue with them, but I didn't. I just sat and stared at the table. We'll deal with whatever else comes of this, Dad said. I think Mrs. Banana's threat about lawsuits was a bit much, but I do think there are going to be some pretty angry parents. That little woman who spoke at the school board meeting isn't going to be very happy. I didn't really care how Mrs. Spencer felt, or her stupid son, for that matter. There's something else we need to talk about, Amy Ann, Mom said. Something even more disturbing to us. In talking with Principal Banana, we've also discovered that you haven't been attending any of the after-school activities you told us you've been doing. I reeled. This, on top of the BBLL suspension, I was totally blindsided. Why have you been staying late after school if you're not in any of these clubs? Dad asked. Because I need some time by myself, because I don't have a quiet place of my own where I can just curl up in the corner with a book and read, I wanted to tell them. But I didn't say anything. More than anything, I think it's the lying that hurts me most, Amy Ann, my mother said. I started to cry again. I couldn't look either of them in the face. I felt sick for lying to them. Your father and I have decided to ground you for a week, Mom said. We know that doesn't mean much, though, since all you do is sit in your room and read books. So we're not allowing you to read anything that isn't for a school assignment either. I felt dizzy. Not read for an entire week? What was I going to do? How was I going to survive? I was suspended. Everyone at school hated me, and I had nowhere to hide. My books were all I had left. My sobs overtook me. The phone rang and Dad got up to answer it. Hello? Yes. Oh. No, I don't think that would be a good idea. No. Thank you, but no. He hung up. That was the local news, Dad said. He sighed. The story's out. They were calling to see if they could interview Amy Ann about the locker library. Great, Mom said. That's just what we need. All right, Amy Ann. Go on to your room. Tomorrow you'll have to come into the office with me again. Bring your school books, but no other books. Understand? I nodded and hurried away. Alexis wasn't in our room when I got there. I ran inside and threw myself on the bed, burying my face in my pillow to cry. I had ruined everything. Everything. My friends were never going to talk to me again. My parents were never going to trust me again. Nobody was ever going to think of me as the good girl who did what she was told ever again. The dogs hopped up on my bed and stuck their wet noses in my neck, trying to make me feel better. Amy Ann? It was Angelina. She was standing in the door to my room. The dogs must have come with her. She and Alexis must have been loving this. Go away, I told her, my face still buried in my pillow. The dogs laid down with me and the room got quiet, and I guessed Angelina had gone. Then I felt something nudge my arm, something soft and furry. That wasn't one of the dogs. I opened my eyes. Angelina was gone, but she had left me her favorite stuffed pony to make me feel better.
Hey guys, thanks for checking in and watching and listening to the book as we go on. Make sure that you're washing your hands and staying safe and staying clean during this time, and we'll see you when we see you. Bye.